Good morning and welcome to Mayor's Weekly. We're pleased to be with you this morning. Pleased to have you with us as we move toward the Memorial Day holiday weekend, and wish for you an enjoyable time, a safe time, and that you can spend time with your family. And we'll look forward to moving through that and being back next week to bring another segment of the Mayor's Weekly. Today I have Brent McCarver joining me, and what we're going to talk about this morning, a little over 2 years ago, I brought to the forefront my plan, 5-year plan for the city of Jasper, using the acronym RIGHT: Retail, Industrial Growth, Housing, and Technology. And what happens with plans, whether you're in the public sector, the private sector, and more times than not, plans become dust collectors. They find their way to a shelf. They're stored on somebody's computer, and after they have been approved or whatever, then nothing ever happens with them. And the day that I presented the plan on the third floor of the Synovus Bank, we had an excellent attendance there. Brent, you were there. And I made a pledge to the people that this plan would not collect dust. And what we're going to share with you today, I think, will certainly validate what I told the people on that day, that it has not collected dust. And my commitment going forward is that it will not collect dust. But what I want to do, Brent's been close to this and keeping tabs on the progress we made in the various areas, how they've impacted the city. And I want to say a couple of things about retail and industrial growth. Brent's been very close to housing and technology, and he may have comments about retail and industrial growth. The retail side of our economy has been good to this city for many, many years. It continues to grow, provide benefits. That's where a big portion of our sales tax revenues that the city lives on, 60% of our budget sales tax revenue, come out of the retail side of our economy. And you're looking just in recent times, Applebee's, several years ago, they made an attempt to locate in Jasper. It was not successful. The last effort was successful, and I understand that those folks are enjoying a very favorable experience in this city. The project at the mall, 52,000 square feet of retail space. We're told that hopeful that that'll be operational in October. And in that regard, I want to thank our zoning board. It's a group of volunteers that come together once a month, and it's a challenging job. Folks that have differences, and they're entitled to have differences and whatever. But I have to say these folks have had a great vision about growing our city. When you go to the mall project, what will happen, what we have known in the past, is the J.C. Penney's portion of the mall, that will be severed from the main building and become a retail establishment. And by that severing and the developer buying a piece of that land from the current owner creates a subdivision. It has to be approved by our zoning board, and you can't do that in any sort of casual way. You have to have surveys, land contracts. Lots of information goes into that before our zoning board can take action. And so it took a little longer than we had hoped for. The reason being, I'm not being critical of anyone, we didn't have the information that was necessary for the zoning board to take action. But last week, the information requirements were met, and our zoning board approved that subdivision of the mall property, and I hope that we see construction work begin there soon. I have to say that you look at our sales tax receipts, they're up on the north side of excellence. That ties, I said, back to our retail side of our economy. I have to say we have very good grades in that. Again, you look at the mall project, the Applebee's. If you go out by Cracker Barrel, you'll see a new Zaxby's that's getting underway there. we're on the radar screen of other folks. If things happening here that I think will make Jasper even more attractive site for retail growth. Industrial growth is an area where our grade is not good, totally unacceptable. The operation of the city, good or bad, should rest right at the feet of the mayor. That's a responsibility I accept. Our approach to industrial recruitment has been kind of a bifurcated thing where we had industrial recruitment farmed out to some folks, and the mayor does not have a direct hand in that. It rests with the Industrial Development Board of the city. Those board members are appointed by the city council, and we recently landed a German manufacturing concern that's working now on a facility. That is the first industrial prospect that we've landed in this city in 6 years. I believe that's correct, isn't it? Now, let's talk about 6 years is a long time, and let's talk about how much money the city puts into that. The city plows into industrial development a little over $500,000 a year. Well, if you take $500,000 times 6, you end up with $3 million. And to land one prospect every 6 years is just totally unacceptable. The people of this city are entitled to a return on their investment. I'm not talking about dividends and interest. I'm talking about bringing value to the people. That's a return, job opportunities, go into our retail sector, spending the money, flows to the city, nicer parks, better police, fire, and that sort of thing. There's work going on right now to revise how we go about industrial recruitment, bring new energy, new life, a new vision, and what we plow into the Industrial Development Board is the second, and I want to underscore it, the second largest non-department expense that we have in the city. The only thing larger than that is what we plow into Jasper City Schools. Some folks in the past have thought we don't give our schools enough. We give right at $3 million a year in sales tax revenues to our school for the general operation. Jasper High School is separate and apart from that, and that's another $3 million. So our $26 million, about $6 million, goes to the school. If you look across Alabama, cities of 14,000 and find that a fourth of their budget's going to education, it'd be very rare. But I think a new day's coming in industrial recruitment. We will be configured in a way that we can have accountability. We didn't have that before. It just kind of rocked along, kind of a laissez-faire approach to things. If we got it done, we got it done. If we don't, we don't. But that's going to change, and we're going to play with some intensity. And if we are successful, and I'm committed to this city being successful there, it'll make a big difference. But like I said, that's an area in the plan where our grade is totally unacceptable, and I'll take some responsibility of that. However, I will mention that control of that falls outside the mayor, but with our new plan that we're working on now, we can bring accountability to that effort. Brent, you've been close to this, kept up with some of the things that we have been successful in doing. Housing and technology, both are very bright spots. Share with the people things that you have that you want to share, what you've experienced.
You know, this is the first time I was pretty excited. We talked about it, that you've asked me to be on, that I had to go back and make some notes. We had so many good things to talk about. So I was pretty interested to hear, but, you know, the plan that you had introduced, it really formulated 2018, basically was introduced 2019. It was in March. So you're really a little over 2 years into it. This is about a midway point review. Pretty impressive, I would say. Of course, I'm probably a little prejudiced about it, but it's a lot of the things have come to pass. A lot of partnerships, relationship building that people may not have seen took place in that first 12 to 15 months and has really resulted in things beginning to come to the table today. In housing specifically, we just were able to announce yesterday, we put on our social media that there's another new development coming. Just as the crow flies over the trees from the new high school on 20th Avenue East started, that'd be actually the 4th large-scale housing development in, we'll probably stretch it out and say the last 2 years, 3 years, but all of that generated right after you announced the plan. We had a team put together of local realtors and some folks from Alabama Power called the Mayor's Housing Team. We met, I think we were able to meet 3, maybe 4 times before COVID hit and shut all that down. But from those meetings, the first, and so far extremely successful, Smith Douglas Homes developer relationship came out of Georgia, one of the largest in the Southeast. I think they're north of 50 homes right now, and talking with our realtors, those houses are beginning to sell in the pre-construction phase. They can't build them fast enough. One of the great things that is attributed, I think, to our housing that doesn't get seen, we've worked very hard, you approved, council approved, and we've worked very hard with some outside sources to market Jasper to the outside world, especially specifically the 280 South 65 region on the other side of Birmingham. And so those have been some great things. We currently have 4 developments going on after the new announcement. It's the most active real estate market we've had ever, according to our realtors. I talked to several yesterday. Another thing that's really interesting is the again, continued relationship building group called Opportunity Alabama, Opal. They deal with opportunity zone investment. Just so happens Walker County's opportunity zone dips down around where our current industrial parks are, out on Industrial Boulevard over toward the lake. We've got meetings with very interested people that have been taking place about multi-use developments in those areas. So again, it continues down. One of the other things ending up on housing that we talked about in your plan was I think in here we called it neighborhood cleanup and park improvements. We've had park improvements. We've got the new playground installed through partnerships over at James Cox Park. We got the new gym floor going down or I think it's completed at Percy Good. Park cleanups all over town and improvements. We've got different things have been happening. We've had 3 separate cleanups where the Jasper High School football team was involved with us one year, and then some other school groups were involved where we've walked the neighborhood. Coca-Cola got involved with us, Alpha, and some other people. So again, it's become a culture that is driving people to look at coming to Jasper. And then of course on our technology, I think that's been from the first meetings we had where we talked about smart city and found out even Alabama Power didn't know what a smart city was. But that has really, to me, been the thing that's come the most full circle. And I wanted, because most of the citizens, you can see the housing, you can see the for sale signs, you can see the new park equipment. You don't see a lot of what's going on. And I'll just be quite frank. I know you've had to have me sit in your office, and Kathy has, and all this about technology involved with the city. Where we've moved in 2 years, nobody would see it except those of us that are inside here. As we all found out through whatever decisions were made, our technology here at City Hall is a good place to start. We had fiber here, couldn't make use of it. We didn't have good security systems. We didn't have a lot of the things. We hadn't upgraded the hardware like we had the transference system. So even with our live streams and our videos, and we've continued to try to put investments into that, but there's a large investment been approved by the council, and we've hired eBrook as an IT consultant. They're looking at the whole city. We're on new servers now. Security aspects are as high as they've been ever in my knowledge of the city. We're moving towards some hardware upgrades, take advantage of what we can do. But most excited, the fiber to the premises, the fiber loop, working with Alabama Power that's been put in near completion. I think it's about another year away from being totally completed. A great thing there. For the rest of the county, as Alabama Power does this, they're beginning to expand it over what it seems like every time we talk to them, it's bigger and bigger. Bringing in C Spire from Mississippi to provide 1 gig internet access. They're probably about 60% through the residential side, somewhere I think in the 30% on the commercial. So that project is still ongoing, giving speeds of 900 megs to 1 gig up and down to our houses and businesses. You know, again, that's the type of stuff we see in Huntsville, and that's near completion. Ongoing studies about what can be done, some projects that would make us state-of-the-art as far as emergency operations centers for PD. Looking at that's to the phase of bid process and other things like that could really change the nature of how the police and the city and other operations work. And the big project that really started it all, that we realized a lot of other things needed to take place before we got there. We've been talking about Wi-Fi downtown. There's some developments coming on there. I'm not at liberty to make any announcements yet, but I think that's going to be coming further. You've already been able to announce some of that, where we'll have some projects that will provide, again, I think in talking with the school system, the students, you know, they get a laptop or a tablet from school, but when they leave school, some of these kids don't have access to the internet. This project, again, with partnerships and Alabama Power, would make it to where you can pretty much have free Wi-Fi anywhere in and around the downtown area. We're still working toward that. That's going to be an amazing thing. So with housing and technology, those are two things that don't ever get completed anyway, but we've certainly made the strides that we talked about in here. And there's still a lot of things to do. You know, I noted, I looked over here, we still need to increase on the neighborhood cleanups. We still need to look at some things, but I'll say this, I talked with Keith Pike yesterday. Keith and I have a large hand in some of this, but, you know, there's been more vacant, dilapidated, unsafe structures dealt with in the past 2 years, yard cleanups and all that. So, you know, it's certainly something we've taken hold of and been positive results.
Brent, as far as Wi-Fi downtown, what I can tell you that's probably going to be a $2 million investment to make that happen. The city of Jasper will not have a penny in that. You look at the 45-mile fiber loop, that's a multi-million-dollar project. The city doesn't have a penny in that. One thing that's slowing the Wi-Fi thing down, I think we will be able to make an announcement in the next 60 days. Some of the equipment associated with that will need to be housed in our IT room here. This is a 100-year-old building that's not adequate. Work is ongoing to identify another IT room where that equipment can be housed, maintenance, and that sort of thing. And I believe when we get that in place, then we'll be in a position to make an announcement. But having a plan that probably nobody ever attained a higher rank in leadership than Coach Paul Bear Bryant. And some people might not like Alabama football, and that's okay. But you can't deny Coach
Right.
Bryant.
Exactly.
And he had a lot to say that had value. And one of the things he said, you have to have a plan, you have to work your plan. We have a plan, and this plan is being worked. It's not collecting dust. So would welcome any observations, questions you have about this plan, what we're doing. You let us know, and we'll have a prompt answer for you. And again, I hope the holiday weekend is pleasant, and we'll look forward to being with you next week.